The Quraysh left, and Abu Talib sat there, worried. He knew how angry his people could get. But how could he let anyone harm or humiliate the Prophet Muhammad alaihi wasallam? After some thought, he called his nephew and said, "My dear nephew, your people came to me. They said some serious things. Please have mercy on yourself and on me. Don't place a burden on me that I can't carry." The words hit the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi deeply. Did this mean his uncle would no longer stand by him? Was he about to lose his support? With a firm yet emotional voice, the Prophet ﷺ replied, "O my dear uncle, by Allah, even if they put the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left hand and ask me to leave this mission, I will never stop. Never. I will continue until Allah Himself makes it successful." His voice trembled as he spoke, and tears welled up in his eyes. He turned to leave, but just as he took a step, Abu Talib called out, "Wait! Come back!" "Dear nephew, come here," Abu Talib called out. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned toward him, and Abu Talib said with determination, "Go, my nephew, say whatever you wish. By Allah, I will never leave your side." When the Quraysh realized that Abu Talib was not willing to stop supporting the Prophet ﷺ, they came to him with a new plan. They brought a young man named Amara bin Walid, who was known to be the bravest, strongest, and most handsome youth among them. They said,
"Abu Talib, here is Amara bin Walid. He is one of our best young men. Take him as your own son, and in return hand over your nephew to us. Your nephew is going against your religion and the ways of your ancestors. He has caused division among your people and confused their minds. Give him to us so we can kill him. We are offering you a man in exchange for a man."
Hearing this outrageous proposal, Abu Talib firmly replied, "By Allah, this can never happen. Do you think a camel will ever abandon her baby and care for another's? Never." Hearing this, Mutim bin Adi, one of the Quraysh leaders, said, "Abu Talib, your people have been fair to you. They have tried to solve this problem in a way that should satisfy you. I don't think they can offer you anything better than this." Abu Talib responded strongly, "By Allah, they have not been fair to me. In fact, all of you have come together to humiliate me and plot against me. Do whatever you want now." Later, the person named Amr bin Walid died in Abyssinia in a state of disbelief. He had been affected by magic and became so disturbed that he wandered through wars and valleys in confusion. Similarly, another person, Mutim bin Adi, also died in a state of disbelief. When Abu Talib rejected the Quraysh's offer, the situation became extremely serious. On the other hand, Abu Talib realized the dangerous intentions of the Quraysh. He gathered the Banu Hashim and Banu Abd al-Muttalib and asked them to protect the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Everyone agreed, except for Abu Lahab. Abu Lahab did not support him and continued to oppose the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was one of the strongest opponents and worked hard to harm the Prophet and his followers. Regarding the difficulties faced by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hazrat Abbas, Razi Allah anhu, narrates an incident. He says, "One day, I was in the Haram Mosque when Abu Jahl came and said, 'I swear by God, if I see Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam prostrating, I will cut off his neck.' Upon hearing this, Hazrat Abbas, Razi Allah anhu, immediately went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and told him what Abu Jahl had said. Hearing this, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam became very angry and walked quickly toward the Haram Mosque. He was walking so fast that his clothes brushed against the wall. At that moment, he was reciting the first two verses of Surah Al-Alaq. Translation: recite in the name of your Lord who created man from a clot of blood. While reciting, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reached verse 6 of Surah Al-Alaq. Indeed, the disbeliever goes too far in his rebellion. He continued reading until he reached the verse that required him to prostrate, and then he bowed down in sujud, prostration. When Abu Jahl heard this, someone told him, "Abu Jahl, Muhammad is prostrating." Abu Jahl quickly rushed toward the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but when he got closer, he suddenly stopped and walked away. The people were surprised and asked, "What happened, Abu Jahl?" He replied, "Can't you see it? I see a wall of fire between me and him." Another time, Abu Jahl said to the Quraysh, "You all see that Muhammad is insulting your gods, disrespecting your ancestors, and confusing your people. I swear tomorrow, when he goes into prostration, I will bring the biggest stone and throw it on his head. After that, you can either help me or leave me to face what happens from Banu Abd Manaf." Hearing this, the Quraysh said, "By Allah, we will never betray you. So do whatever you plan with peace of mind." The very next day, Abu Jahl, filled with confidence, picked up a huge heavy stone and waited eagerly for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came as he always did after the morning prayer. At that time, his direction for prayer was towards Bayt al-Maqdis, Jerusalem. He would stand between the Yemeni corner and the black stone, facing the Kaaba. The Quraysh waited in their homes, wondering, would Abu Jahl succeed today? Would he finally stop the Prophet? As soon as the Prophet ﷺ went into prostration, Abu Jahl rushed forward with the stone. But then something incredible happened. As he got closer, a sudden fear gripped him. His face turned pale, and in a panic, he froze. He tried to pull his hands away from the stone, but they were stuck. He couldn't move them. The people around him gathered, eyes wide in confusion, and asked, "What happened, Abu Jahl?" He gasped, "I went to do what I promised last night, but as soon as I got close to him, a huge wild camel appeared in front of me, like nothing I've ever seen before. It was ready to charge at me." When this was shared with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he replied calmly, "That was Jibril Islam. If he had come any closer, Jibril would have surely stopped him."